like
I
to share
always
with you
thought I
all
knew
today
her. She was the kind
is
of
the
woman who made you feel
importance
seen
of
when you were
investing
invisible.
for the
The kind
future.
of smile that lingered just
Investing
long enough to make you wonder if she knew something you didn't. I fell in love with that smile, with the way her eyes flickered when she was lying, and how she always paused for half a second before answering a question. I used to think it was endearing. Now, I think it was the first clue. We'd been married 7 years. 7 quiet, uneventful years. Or so I thought. No drama. No shouting matches. No cryptic texts or late nights out. We were the couple everyone else said they wanted to be, comfortable, synchronized, predictable in all the right ways. Until the night I couldn't sleep. It wasn't anything specific. No argument. No shift in routine. I just woke up at 2:14 a.m., cold and oddly alert. The space beside me in bed was empty. The sheets were still warm, so she hadn't been gone long. I didn't think much of it. Maybe she'd gone for water or to the bathroom. But 10 minutes passed, then 20. I got up. The house was dark except for a dim light leaking from the crack under the basement door. I never liked the basement. It always had a stillness to it, like the air was holding its breath. I opened the door slowly, expecting to hear her moving around, maybe organizing something. But there was no sound. Just silence, and that odd glow from the single overhead bulb. I crept down the steps. She stood in front of an old trunk. It was one I didn't remember buying. The lock was off, the lid open. Inside were bundles of envelopes tied with a red ribbon, a stack of old black and white photographs, and what looked like a passport. She hadn't heard me come down. She was staring at a letter, her eyes flicking over the words so fast it was like she already knew them by heart. I didn't say a word. Eventually she closed the lid, retied the ribbon, and replaced the lock. Only then did she turn, flinch, and say my name like it was a curse and a prayer at once. You scared me, she said, clutching the key around her neck. What is that? I asked. She hesitated, then smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Just old stuff, memories. That was the second clue. She always told me everything. But not that night. That night she brushed past me, went back to bed, and pretended nothing had happened. The next morning, the trunk was gone. I didn't ask, not yet. I watched her instead, closely. She moved the same, spoke the same, but there was a tension beneath her surface. I hadn't noticed before. She triple-checked locks, jumped when the phone rang, and flinched at the sound of sirens in the distance. She wasn't just anxious, she was hiding, so I started searching. While she was out, I went through her things. I know how that sounds, but this was different. I wasn't looking for dirt, I was looking for the truth. The missing pieces that had somehow been sitting right in front of me all these years. Her nightstand was empty. Too empty. The drawers too neat, too deliberate. I checked the closet next. Nothing. Then the attic. That's where I found the second trunk. It was smaller than the first. No lock, just a single photo placed right on top, as if it had been left there for me. A picture of her, much younger, smiling on the steps of a house I didn't recognize. She was holding hands with a child, a little boy, and on the back, in faded handwriting, July 2009. Finally safe. We met in 2011. I stared at the photo for what felt like hours. The boy couldn't have been more than 4 or 5. He looked nothing like me, nothing like her, either. But there was something familiar in his eyes, some glint I'd seen before. I turned the box upside down, nothing else, no name, no explanation. That night, I didn't sleep. She noticed. Of course she did. She asked if I was stressed, work stuff, maybe. I lied, said I had a headache. She nodded, kissed my temple, and went back to reading like everything was fine. I made a copy of the photo and hid it in my wallet. 2 weeks passed. I kept quiet. I watched. I waited. I knew the moment I confronted her, something would break, and I wasn't ready. Not yet. So I searched. Online databases, missing persons, old addresses. It led nowhere, until I found the forum. A dark corner of the internet, filled with people looking for someone they'd lost, or people running. A woman had posted in 2009 about escaping. No name, just vague details. Domestic violence, a child. A warning not to trust authorities. Her post ended with 3 words: "We are shadows." It was her. The phrasing, the tone, it was her. I'd read enough of her writing over the years to recognize it. I cross-checked the timestamp with the date on the photo. They matched. She hadn't just left someone, she had escaped. I needed answers. But how do you ask your wife if she used to be someone else? If she had a child she never mentioned? If the woman you married was a mask? I waited until Sunday. We were making breakfast. She was humming a tune I didn't recognize. I watched her flip the eggs, the way her hand shook just slightly when the pan sizzled. She hadn't seen me holding the photo. Who is he? I asked. She froze. No denial, no confusion. Just silence. Then without turning, she said, "You shouldn't have gone through my things." That hurt more than I expected. She turned slowly, drying her hands on a towel. Her eyes found the photo in my hand, and she exhaled so quietly I almost missed it. "I was going to tell you," she said. "When? I don't know. Before we got married. After our first anniversary. Or when he comes looking for you." "He won't. He's gone." "Who?" She didn't answer. Not right away. Then she said, "The man I ran from. The one who did things no person should survive. He thought I was dead. And the boy." Her voice broke. "My son." There it was. The truth. Or the beginning of it, at least. I didn't speak, couldn't. I just listened. She told me everything. How she changed her name, moved from state to state. How she'd paid someone to erase her past. How the boy had gotten sick, leukemia, and how she'd been forced to take him back to a hospital under a false identity. How a nurse had recognized her, reported her. How she barely made it out. "How old is he now?" I asked. She shook her head. "He died. He was 7. The room spun. I had imagined many things, but not that. She showed me the certificate later. Real. Dated. Official. I held it in my hands, and felt the weight of a life I never knew existed. A child that had shaped her in ways I'd never understand. A past that had scarred her into silence. I loved her. That didn't change. But something fundamental between us had. A fracture in the foundation. A secret so large it had bent the structure of our life together without me ever noticing. She asked if I hated her. I didn't. But I couldn't look at her the same. Weeks passed. The photo disappeared from my wallet. I didn't ask if she took it. I knew she did. We went through the motions, dinners, errands, holding hands in public. But inside, we were strangers with shared memories. Then the letters started. No return address, no handwriting. Just typed pages slipped under the door. The first one said, "You can't bury the past. It always digs back up." She turned white when she read it. The second came a week later. "I know where you are. He never forgave you." She packed a bag that night. I begged her to stay, promised protection. Police, cameras, anything. She said it was too late. The next morning, she was gone. No note, no trace, just the echo of a door closing before sunrise. I searched. Again. But this time I didn't find her. Months went by. Then a year. I never told anyone. How could I? I just said she left. People whispered, "Sure," but they moved on. I didn't. Sometimes I dream of her. Standing at the foot of our bed, the photo in her hand, asking if I'd still love her if I'd known. I always say yes. But I don't know if that's true. Because the truth isn't clean. It doesn't wrap up with closure or forgiveness. Sometimes the people we love are built from pain we can't imagine. Sometimes they carry ghosts into our lives and don't ask if we're ready to meet them. And sometimes they leave so quietly, you wonder if they were ever really there at all.